Hi, and welcome to Mr. Hutchings History. This is Mr. Hutchings, and today I'm bringing you the Unit 3 overview for AP World History. This topic is the land-based empires from 1450 to 1750. By 1450, the world was ruled not by small city-states, but by giants of land and power. Empires stretched across continents, blending languages, religions, and peoples under one crown. The Ottomans controlled the crossroads of Europe and Asia. The Safavids built a Persian Shia stronghold. The Mughals ruled over India's mosaic of faiths and cultures. The Qing extended Chinese rule far beyond the Great Wall. And in West Africa, Songhai carried on the legacy of Mali along the Niger. Each empire sought more than land. It sought legitimacy, unity, and lasting order. In this century of gunpowder, faith, and bureaucracy, power became an art form. Let's look at why empires expanded. Land was wealth. Rulers measured glory by the ground they could conquer and the tribute they could collect. After 1450, new military technology tipped the balance toward those who mastered gunpowder. Cannons shattered castle walls, and firearms reshaped how states waged war and defended borders. The Ottoman Empire proved this most clearly. In 1453, Mehmed II captured Constantinople with massive cannons that roared through stone, ending the Byzantine Empire and turning the city, now Istanbul, into the heart of a new Islamic power bridging Europe, Africa, and Asia. Further east, the Safavid Empire rose in Persia. Shah Ismail, only a teenager, united rival clans under the Shia Islam, carving a distinct identity in a region surrounded by Sunni states. His armies, disciplined and well armed, made Persia a new cultural center of art, calligraphy, and architecture. In India, the Mughal Empire blended military strength with diplomacy. Babur's descendants, especially Akbar, expanded through both conquest and alliance, uniting northern India's diverse peoples under a single imperial administration. And in East Asia, the Manchus seized Beijing in 1644 and founded the Qing dynasty, tripling China's territory within decades. Through military discipline and bureaucratic continuity, they ruled over Han Chinese, Mongols, Tibetans, and Uyghurs alike. In Africa, the Songhai Empire under Askia Muhammad controlled the gold and salt routes once dominated by Mali, building a capital at Gao that linked West Africa to the Mediterranean world. Across regions, the cause of expansion was the same: ambition, firepower, and opportunity. Let's look at how rulers centralized power. Conquest created empires, bureaucracy sustained them. Each ruler faced the same question: how do you hold millions of people who speak, worship, and work differently? The answer was centralization: collecting taxes, enforcing law, and staffing government with loyal elites. In the Ottoman world, sultans used a system called devshirme. Christian boys were taken from the Balkans, converted to Islam, and trained as soldiers or administrators. The most talented became janissaries, forming one of history's first professional standing armies. The Mughals used a similar approach. Akbar, the empire's great synthesizer, recruited Hindu Rajputs into government and army posts, granting them land in exchange for service. His policies reduced rebellion and built loyalty across religious lines. The Safavids relied on a combination of Shia clergy and a bureaucratic class to enforce the Shah's authority. In Persia, architecture itself projected power. Tiled domes, grand mosques, and open squares reminded subjects that the ruler's strength came from divine favor and worldly wealth. Meanwhile, the Qing dynasty retained China's Confucian examination system but filled the highest posts with Manchu nobles, balancing old traditions with new rulers. Their statecraft combined continuity and innovation, a pattern found across Afro-Eurasia. Everywhere, rulers turned taxation into empire building. Silver from trade, land taxes, and tribute funded armies, palaces, and monumental architecture. Bureaucracy became the nervous system of imperial power. Let's look at the belief systems and legitimacy. Religion gave empire its moral armor. To rule effectively, emperors needed the subjects to believe that authority was sacred. In the Ottoman Empire, the Sultan claimed both political and spiritual legitimacy as caliph, the protector of Islam. Grand mosques in Istanbul, like Suleyman, symbolized that unity of faith and rule. For the Safavids, Shia Islam was not just a religion but a political declaration. By declaring Shiaism the state faith, they distinguished themselves from Sunni neighbors, binding their empire through ritual and identity. The Mughals, ruling over a Hindu majority, faced a different challenge. Akbar promoted Sulh-i or universal tolerance, abolishing the jizya tax on non-Muslims and hosting debates among Muslims, Hindus, Christians, and Jains. His rule showed that inclusion could be just as powerful as coercion. In Europe, the Protestant Reformation tore Christendom apart. Martin Luther's defiance of papal authority fractured religious unity and set off a century of wars. Kings and princes took sides, asserting divine right to govern without church interference. The struggle for legitimacy moved from Rome to royal courts. Across empires, belief was both a unifying and dividing force. It sanctified kingship, but also fueled conflict. Now, looking into life inside the empires, imperial rule reached deep into daily life. Farmers paid taxes in coin instead of grain. Artisans worked in state supervised workshops. Scholars wrote in official languages: Turkish, Persian, Arabic, Mandarin. Urban centers became mosaics of culture. Istanbul, crossroads of continents, thrived with markets, coffee houses, and scholars from three continents. Isfahan, the Safavid capital, glittered with blue tiled mosques and caravanserai filled with merchants from India to Italy. Delhi bustled under Mughal patronage, where miniature painters and architects fused Persian and Indian styles into something distinctively Indo Islamic. At the same time, not everyone prospered. Heavy taxation, forced labor, and rigid hierarchies weighed on peasants. In Russia, serfdom deepened as czars consolidated control. The glory of palaces often came from the sweat of subjects. Yet life under empire also meant access to trade, to roads, to protection, and to shared culture. Across the steppe and desert, new postal systems, minted coins, and codified laws tied distant villages into imperial webs. The world was growing more connected, but within boundaries drawn by powerful states. Let's look at some of the key events and people. In 1453, Mehmed II conquers Constantinople, transforming the Byzantine world into the Ottoman realm. In 1521, Martin Luther is excommunicated, igniting Europe's Reformation and decades of religious war. In 1547, Ivan IV, later called the Terrible, crowns himself Tsar of Russia, beginning centuries of autocracy. In 1556, Akbar ascends the Mughal throne, ruling with tolerance and administrative brilliance. 1603, James I of England declares the divine right of kings, asserting monarchy as God's will. In 1643, Louis XIV takes the throne of France and builds Versailles, the palace as propaganda. In 1644, Manchu armies seize Beijing, founding the Qing dynasty. In 1722, Afghan forces overthrow the weakened Safavid Empire, marking the decline of Persia's great dynasty. These milestones mark both the rise and the fragility of centralized power. Each empire's success depended on control, but each was vulnerable to overreach. From 1450 to 1750, the world's great land-based empires built more than borders. They built systems of order, belief, and art that still shape us today. Their rise shows the power of centralized authority, technology, and faith. Their decline reveals the limits of land in an age soon to be ruled by sea and commerce. In the next era, oceanic empires will eclipse land ones, shifting wealth to coastal powers like Britain and Portugal. But the Ottomans, Safavids, Mughals, Qing, and others left a legacy of administration, architecture, and cultural blending that defined early modern civilization. The lesson is simple but enduring. Empire is not just conquest, it is governance, legitimacy, and the daily negotiation between power and people. Until next time, stay curious. History matters.